In a significant move reflecting growing concerns over U.S. foreign aid allocations, Senators Rick Scott and John Kennedy have introduced the No Dollars for Dictators Act. This bipartisan bill represents a clear attempt to curtail the flow of American taxpayer money to regimes identified as hostile or adversarial. The act marks a potential turning point in U.S. foreign policy, signaling a tougher stance against authoritarian regimes. It underscores a growing sentiment within the U.S. government that aiding such regimes contradicts American values and strategic interests. The act's introduction has sparked immediate debate, with proponents lauding it as a necessary step to safeguard American interests and hold authoritarian leaders accountable. They argue that the current system allows hostile regimes to benefit from U.S. aid while continuing to act against U.S. interests on the world stage. The act, they believe, will ensure that American taxpayers' money is used to promote freedom, democracy, and human rights, not to prop up oppressive regimes. At the heart of the No Dollars for Dictators Act lies a fundamental question. Should the United States provide financial assistance to countries ruled by authoritarian regimes? Proponents of the act argue that such aid is inherently contradictory. They contend that providing financial support to dictatorships directly undermines America's commitment to promoting democracy and human rights globally. They argue that these funds often end up enriching corrupt officials and strengthening the grip of authoritarian regimes, rather than benefiting the people they are intended to help. Critics of the act, however, counter that cutting off aid could have unintended consequences. They argue that it could destabilize fragile states, exacerbating humanitarian crises, and creating power vacuums that could be exploited by other hostile actors. Further, they suggest that engagement through targeted aid programs can be a more effective tool for promoting reform and encouraging a transition towards democracy. The No Dollars for Dictators Act specifically targets a list of countries identified as adversarial dictatorships. This list includes countries with a history of human rights abuses, support for terrorism, and opposition to U.S. interests. Among those named are Cuba, Venezuela, and North Korea, nations long criticized for their authoritarian rule and human rights violations. Also included are Russia, Iran, China, and Syria. These countries represent a complex challenge for U.S. foreign policy, with each posing unique threats to global stability and U.S. interests. The inclusion of these countries in the act underscores the growing bipartisan concern in Washington about their actions on the world stage. The No Dollars for Dictators Act has the potential to significantly reshape U.S. foreign policy. Its implementation would signal a shift towards a more values-based approach to foreign aid allocation. By prioritizing human rights and democratic principles, the act could usher in a new era of U.S. foreign policy, one less focused on realpolitik and more on promoting American ideals abroad. However, the act's long-term impact remains to be seen. Its success will depend on a multitude of factors, including its effective implementation, the response of the targeted countries, and the broader geopolitical landscape. Nevertheless, the act represents a significant development in U.S. foreign policy, one that could have far-reaching consequences for the United States and its relationship with the world.